Jackson County Today. Hot topics, relevant stories, and news developments that affect our community.
At a recent public meeting, County Administrator Danny Jordan shared the complete budget overview for the 2026 to 2027 fiscal year and frames Jackson County's current financial position. Finalizing the budget is always a comprehensive give and take process that takes many voices into account. Jackson County's Budget Committee, comprised of the Jackson County Commissioners plus 3 Jackson County citizens, hears department presentations. Then they deliberate and create a carefully crafted budget for Jackson County. The last step is a vote by the Jackson County Board of Commissioners.
So we have operating revenue. That's what we use to fund services. Essentially, that's constant and predictable. It's things like our property tax base. It used to be that O&C revenue we considered an operating revenue, but it's been so unpredictable and not funded consistently that it's been hard to depend on that for operations. We have non-operating revenue. So this is where we don't use money to pay for services, and the reason why is it's not sustainable. This includes things like our fund balances, reserves, windfalls. It can't really be depended on into the future. We have dedicated, so that's revenue that we get for a specific service. So that's things like our airport or road gas tax that we have to use for roads. And then non-dedicated, which we have discretion over. So the type of revenue that we like as a budget committee is non-dedicated operating revenue, because you get to decide what services to spend it on. But if you look at our roughly $700 million budget, only about 9% of it is where we get to make a decision about where it gets spent in operations. That's not a good thing, but that's the facts that we deal with. So when everybody in the public hears about how much we have in reserves or contingencies or fund balances, those are all not operating revenues. They're non-operating revenues, and they're not things we put into services like maintaining staff positions or typically paying for materials and supplies. If you look at our dedicated operating revenue, it's about 32% of that budget. And the rest, a non-dedicated, non-operating revenue, is our general fund, reserves, contingency, fund balance, and the dedicated non-operating, so the green, is fund balances that carry forward in all of those funds that have a dedicated purpose. If you look at our operating budget, so you split out the debt service and all things that we're not using to run operations, pull out the reserves, fund balance, and contingency, our total operating budget of that roughly $700 million is about $288 million. Of that $288 million, most of it's dedicated. We don't have a choice about where we spend it. We get told where we're going to spend it when we enter into a contractual agreement or receive it under some kind of state law or mandate or a federal law or mandate. And the 9% that I mentioned in the previous slide is the non-dedicated portion, which is about $65 million. If you look at the $65 million, how we budget to spend it, this is what it looks like. 77% goes to the sheriff, community justice, or DA. There's actually a little bit more than that. We usually push about 80%. We will have additional costs there. As I said, we have 2 outstanding negotiations. If you look at the other categories, health is about 7%. That accounts for service partner grants that the budget committee approves. It also accounts for jail medical that the general fund pays. That's managed through the Health and Human Services department because of their expertise, but community justice and the sheriff's office also pay for those services, although the health department administers it. The assessor's about 7%, and I know we prioritize public safety as our number one and health is our number 2 priorities. I think assessment's probably the number 1 priority because we collect money for everybody to be able to run governments out there, and if we didn't do that, none of us would be standing here today. And then internal services, our overhead is really pretty low. 5% is, I would say, pretty good in the general fund side. So in this proposed budget, the general fund reserves are almost $90 million. In the current budget, they were projected at $133 million. So that looks like we are spending down a lot of it. We did create 2 new PERS side accounts. The fact that we've carried reserves and fund balance between our general fund and dedicated fund has allowed us to take some of that in money and make investments in these PERS side accounts that reduce our ongoing operating expenses. And we've chosen to do that 20 years at a time, each time we set up a PERS side account. Right now, we're about $45 million invested in PERS side accounts, and that buys us down about $90 million over for each of those 20 years accounts. So I will say that we've saved roughly, because they're actuarials and their projections, but roughly 45 million in reduced expenditures over 20-year increments in each of those side accounts combined in operating costs. That's huge. We do set aside $17,500,000. That really is to get us from July to tax collection and general fund operational costs. And I do want to say with that, and I say this every year, but I feel like I got to say it, is a lot of places have to borrow they have to take tax anticipation bonds to be able to pay these expenses because they don't carry reserves like this, like we do. We have our own bank account that we can go to and we don't have to borrow money. That saves our taxpayers money. It saves us the stress of getting bond counsel and going through that whole type of thing. We have a contingency of $11 million, almost $12 million, which we think is appropriate. It's ranged from 10 to, I think, almost 22, I think we put last year. This will be total reserves, contingency, and ending fund balance, approximately $278 million. In the current year, that was $264 million. So you may ask, well, you just said the general fund portion is going down, and it is, but the dedicated funds portion is going up, and this is mostly attributable to what we have planned for capital construction. This is just a graphic depiction of really kind of what happened with these categories for all funds. So you see a little increase in our personnel services cost. Materials and service has hit us hard. That has a lot to do with risk costs and health costs. Capital outlay is the wrapping up of the expo is why you see that drop, and it's going to jump again next year. Contingency, we kicked up a little bit in all funds, and you know get the ending fund balance reserve drop. So that's going to be it for that.